Welcome to FBB Forum. If you like this content, please be sure to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow my Instagram page. I'm very pleased to welcome the stunning IFBB Pro Women's Physique competitor Nicole Lareau to the podcast for a follow-up interview. My first interview with Nicole was back in last February, so it's been almost a year since we last spoke. And she earned her pro card at the 2022 NPC Nationals and took 2023 off to grow. And now she's going to be making her pro debut later this year in the spring. So I'm really excited to see how she looks on stage. Welcome, Nicole. It's great to have you back on with FBB Forum.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Happy to be here.
Great, thank you. So I was curious, like, what have you been up to over 2023 and any news to share with the audience?
Yeah, so 2023, like you said, I took the time off to grow. I'm going to be 100% honest and say that I don't love off season.
Sure.
Has sort of followed my journey. I started bodybuilding in February of 2022. I had almost 9 years of lifting at that point, but I hadn't actually been bodybuilding.
Mm-hmm.
So that being said, I got on with my coach and we went straight into like a little recomp phase and then straight into prep. So this was my first off season ever. my
Oh,
first,
very.
yeah. And it was, honestly, I loved it in some ways. In other ways, it was very difficult. I know most people that bodybuild or follow it to some extent know that reversing from a show and just kind of getting your hormones balanced and then putting on completely necessary body fat is very difficult after seeing yourself on stage.
Sure, I
um,
understand.
yeah, so that being said, I definitely had a little bit of a tough time at the beginning. It was just really hard to see my body changing and everything. And what ended up happening was I changed up my training quite a bit. Um, Gosh, right around the last time we met, I think it was like February, March.
Okay.
And since then, it was like a switch was just flipped, and I fell in love with the gym again, and I have been able to make honestly more progress than I expected to have made in the time that I took off.
Wow,
Um,
great.
yeah, and I was, and I haven't really. Now I'm in prep, and so now I can see that, but I really didn't know that.
Yeah,
So I was just, I was having fun. I was working hard, putting my head down, and just trying to remember sort of what got me in the gym in the first place. So I had a really successful off season in the end, and even though it was hard, I'm better equipped to deal with it the next time. And I started prep right at the end of October, basically I think October 30th.
okay.
And yeah, we're about 13 weeks in now. Sorry, I have my little calendar right there. We're 13
Oh,
weeks. So
very good. Yeah, you look really good in your the recent posts on Instagram. You look really amazing.
thank you. I really appreciate it. I'm really, really excited. And as you mentioned, I will be doing my pro debut in spring. Exact show pending, but I'm really looking forward to it. I am really excited to see sort of all the hard work that I put in. And honestly, it was tough work. Like I said, I struggled a little bit. So it's gonna be even sweeter and more rewarding to see it all come together in the end. So I'm very excited.
That's awesome. Very good. Yeah, I don't know. People don't always realize that sometimes it is good to take a year off and let your body recover, from the previous year's prep, and that's just part of the whole bodybuilding process, I think. So I think it's really important.
Yeah, it's definitely, most competitors that I talk to also prefer prep. So I think that that's kind of sort of universal. But to your point, it's hard work to take the time off, but it's 100% necessary if you need. There were a lot of areas that I needed to improve in order to be competitive on the pro stage, which is my goal. So I knew that it was necessary evil, I guess. But to be honest, for especially me, my background's powerlifting. I love the feeling of sort of heavyweight. So there were little areas that I was able to sort of cling on to in the tough times, and yeah, came out the other end much better for it. So
That's awesome. I was curious with the, are you going to have a higher stage weight, do you think, for this year?
that's a very good question. I initially I thought that I definitely would, because I've definitely put on a good amount of tissue.
Hmm.
Um, but at this point, I'm not sure. If I compare this prep to my last prep, I'm definitely lighter than I was at this stage, and I'm far leaner. That being said, though, my prep this time started from a much bigger, more muscular, and much leaner state than my initial prep. So I'm not sure if that's going to weigh into it, in which case I think I'll actually be maybe lighter even. I honestly don't know.
Sure.
I truly don't know. That's actually something that I'm finding very interesting, because, obviously we prep for a look and not a number, but obviously we keep track of it to, use it as a gauge, and it's a data point. But I've been very interested in my weight this time, because I've noticed that it's a lot lower. So then I started comparing and looking, and kind of looking at pictures and seeing what's going on to see if I could answer that question. But I think at this point, I have no idea. Just
Sure.
I did start from such a different spot, but I'll be very interested to see. So I will update you when I know.
That's terrific. No, I think that's great. And yeah, it doesn't, in the long run, it doesn't really matter anyway. So, yeah,
It's definitely interesting, especially, it's a good gauge as you get further into it too. And this is the other thing, is like, I did have to grow a decent amount, but my intention for future preps is that it's more fine tuning. So I
hmm,
think a little easier to tell then. But whereas now, I mean, I have the 2 shows under my belt. I'm not positive what it's going to be. So
no, that's cool. I totally understand that. No, you're going to look great on stage too, I bet, for sure. And and taking that year off, I think, is a good thing to do. Um, Now you talked about maybe doing pro debut in the spring, but is your plan to maybe do multiple shows this year?
we'll see. We've definitely talked about it. It's been bounced around. I'm not opposed to it by any means. Um, Again, for those that have kind of followed my journey or know, I've only done 2 shows in ever, so
Yeah.
it would probably be nice to have some more experience under my belt. Again, it's definitely being talked about. I'm not opposed to it by any means. I think that it'll depend on feedback from the first show, honestly.
Sure.
Um, we'll see what happens, but you know, at this point, I'm just kind of enjoying the journey, doing what I'm told, and I will sign up for a show when I am told. So we'll see, but it's definitely being talked about. So
That's awesome. And you mentioned you're 13 weeks into your current prep, but how long of a prep total do you hope
yeah.
to?
So sorry for interrupting you.
No, no problem. Oh, you're looking at the calendar too.
Yeah, I was so yeah, so my first prep ever, we did 22 weeks. Did my first show, and then we did another 10 weeks to nationals.
Mhm.
That's obviously quite a long prep.
Yeah.
uh, but we weren't sure sort of what it was going to look like after the first show. So by the time I was in sort of prep for, continuing on prep to go to nationals, we were able to like cut cardio out completely. So I, it's going to be long again, maybe not that long.
Uh-huh.
I have a lot of autoimmune issues. And to be honest with you, I know for a fact I'm not the easiest person to prep.
Yeah.
Um, and last time we definitely had some issues, which is why we kind of are taking this slow approach again this time.
Mhm.
Um, I assume it will be probably like so anywhere from like 25 to 30 weeks. I don't
Wow.
have the show schedule in front of me, which would help inform that, but it'll be something like that. It'll definitely be in I. It won't be less than 20 weeks. I can say that. So
Okay. Very cool. That is a long prep. Yeah.
yeah, I think that because I like prep so much anyway, and I really do thrive in prep. I find it a lot easier. I don't take, I don't have a huge issue with that, but of course it's very hard on the body.
Yeah.
That's why, like I said, we're taking a very slow approach. At this point, like I don't even do cardio every day,
Hmm.
yeah, like that. My cardio is quite a bit lower than it was in that first prep. If I compare, kind of time range as well. So
Okay. That's great. No, that's terrific though. I think and taking it slow is good. I forget I remember we talked before about autoimmune, but can you mention what you have to in terms of the autoimmune condition?
yeah, absolutely. So I had Graves' disease when I was younger, which is hyperactive or overactive thyroid.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually had my thyroid taken out when I was a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
technically I have hypothyroidism post-op. But I take all synthetic thyroid hormone, which is another reason that I can actually prep a little longer than some people, because we don't have to worry about my thyroid hormone down regulating and messing with me metabolically.
Mm.
Um,
Okay.
that's actually in disguise, but it's,
Yeah, I understand.
yeah. And then I also have rheumatoid arthritis.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, and I'm on a new medication for that, which has been very helpful. I do an injectable now, as opposed to an oral medication. Some of the oral medications are pretty toxic, especially liver toxic,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a medication that I was trying to get off of anyway, and I needed an additional support, which is why we went to the injection. But I've actually very recently, here within the last month, been able to come off of that oral medication.
Oh really?
So
Nice. Very
I'm
good.
very so I'm only on the one medication, but yes, I do have rheumatoid arthritis, which is another reason that we go a little slower.
Mm-hmm. That's a good
You know,
idea.
yeah, I don't do the Stairmaster in prep, which I know is like a staple for so many bodybuilders, but it's too hard on my knees and it eats up my legs a little bit. So we just have to make, little adjustments here and there, but all things considered, my RA is very controlled and handled, which I'm very thankful for. So
That's great. Yes, Stairmaster, I think, is more considered a torture device, actually.
honestly, I think it's both. Yeah.
I've never liked it that much. I'm like, I was curious, do you feel like you've made the improvements that you needed to be competitive on stage? I can't remember if you got feedback from the judges after nationals too.
Yes, I did. And we already, we knew what the feedback was probably going to be. And it was basically the entire back shot. Um,
Yeah.
I don't have really any waist, to be honest. So I really needed to build my back width. I've always, I do have, I was pretty developed, but I could have used more thickness as well, but it was mostly really just the width was a big thing, and then glutes and hamstrings as well.
Hmm.
Um, I, I have no idea who else is going to show up, so we'll see in terms of that. But in terms of my physique and what I can do and what I can control, I'm very happy with the improvements that we made. There's always room. Of course, I'm like, okay, I need more, and we'll get there the next time. But in terms of taking one off season to really really focus, especially on my back and glutes, and just hammer them, um, I'm really happy. I know my coach is happy. We just keep kind of the word different keeps coming up, and it's not that I was really lacking previously necessarily. I don't like talking about it like that because it's kind of negative.
Yeah,
But there was a lot of room for improvement. We'll put it that
sure.
way.
Uh-huh, I understand. Yeah.
And yeah, I know that I'm happy. My coach is happy, and that's truly all I can ask for. So I feel really good about it. I think that my waist looks a lot better. Another thing, I didn't do after March. I have not regularly deadlifted or squatted with a barbell.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And that, because again, I came from a powerlifting background. So those were movements that I had been doing for years and years and years.
Yeah.
My obliques were so, so just massive.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
It did not help. My core has been another area that we've been really working on.
Okay.
And taking those movements out has made my waist tighten up a lot. My abs, core, everything is getting a lot like tighter. And because we've been able to add so much width to my lats, I think the whole thing is much more streamlined and looks much more like a women's physique bodybuilder compared to what I was before. So
That's terrific. Yeah,
thank
some more, yeah, you need to try to achieve that X frame, which is
you.
great. Yeah,
Yeah, and I definitely like it. Of course, there's always room for more improvement, but I think in the time that we had, yeah, I'm very proud of myself. So
that's terrific. No, I'm really excited for you. I think you're going to do great.
thank
Yeah.
you.
Um, and now we talked a little bit about the Barbie movie, which of course came out since I talked to you, but your Instagram is Concrete Barbie, and but I was curious if you've seen the movie, and maybe we could get Greta Gerwig to get you in the sequel, maybe as a Concrete Barbie.
I am open to be in any sequel. No, actually, yes. People have come up to me so many times and keep saying that, and I love it. I think it's so funny. I was actually just meeting with my hairstylist, getting our plan hammered out to make sure that my hair can be as Barbie as possible come show.
That's awesome. That movie was a huge hit. I was so impressed that it was like $1 billion or more, and that's just incredible. And it was a good movie too.
People were like rabid, and I love it because Barbie is I obviously I love Barbie, so I love it. I'm glad Barbie's getting more attention right now, so no complaints there.
I noticed too, you mentioned you used to be known as Concrete Barbie just for your legs, but now your whole body is concrete. So that's awesome.
And that's what I'm shooting for. My the Where the nickname came from was after prejudging at nationals. We were looking at stage shots, and my coach Nelson said that he called me Concrete Barbie because he had referred to my teardrops especially when I was in the front double by. My teardrops on my quads looked like you poured concrete into them. He always used to say that.
Oh
And
yeah.
then when it was up on stage, he called it Concrete Barbie. So yes, I'm hoping that I'll be Concrete Barbie all over this year. So that's what we're aiming for.
That's so awesome. I think, yeah, you're definitely getting there for sure. I think you're gonna pull that off for sure.
Thank you. I hope so. We'll see.
Now you mentioned about Nelson Jones and so you're still working with him and also Nicole Zenobia Graham?
Yes, they're both stuck with me.
Good.
Yes, absolutely. I cannot say enough phenomenal things both about Nelson and about Nicole. They are both wonderful, and there's a reason that I'm still working with both of them. We're working on my posing routine right now. I actually have a posing session later in this week, so we'll be getting down and figuring out what we're going to do there. I'm not super graceful, which is why I'm so thankful for her.
Uh-huh.
And Nelson is, I mean, yeah, that's the wizard. That's he. I don't do anything without talking to Nelson, and that's just how it's going to be forever. He's stuck with me, so
That's terrific. I know they're both really good coaches, so I think you got a good team behind you for sure.
I
Yeah.
got very.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. I was curious, what would you say makes them good coaches in your opinion?
So they both just like actually care, and I don't say that as a negative to any other. To be honest with you, I've never worked with another bodybuilding coach specifically or another posing coach.
Mhm.
But coaches in strength sports before, and I've talked to a lot of different people, and I have never felt like I didn't know what I was doing, or I couldn't reach out to them, or I it, it, I never even, if I have a question, it's answered. But to be honest, like I don't ever really have questions because they're both so thorough.
Mm, nice.
um, they're both just absolutely wonderful. They think of everything before it could even come up, honestly. They're both very approachable, and they also, especially with Nelson, I have never felt like pressured to do anything, any show, just anything at all. It's just
Hmm.
he once you have a goal and once you know what you want to do, he will stop at nothing to get you there, in the safest and best way humanly possible. So
Mm.
and I mean, I just both of them, I look at where I started and I look where I ended up by the end of the year, and I would not have been there if it if it were not for them at all.
Wow.
I I remember asking about like bikini bite and like things that I had no, and I had no idea about anything, and they were both so helpful, and it was such a new world to me, and I never felt like a bother or silly
Mm.
or anything. So yeah, they're
That's
both
awesome.
absolutely wonderful. Cannot recommend them enough.
Very good. No, that's terrific. Oh, sorry, my cat's making crazy noises over here. Um,
No.
I was curious, since you competed, in 2022 and kind of building an audience on social media, have you dealt with any, or have you seen a boost in your social media? And I was curious if you've had to deal with any fit shaming. And I'm kind of surprised that fit shaming is even a thing. But I just wondered what's your take on that?
So I get a little melancholy over this because so in the off season, when things aren't cool and you're not lean and you don't look exciting,
Yeah.
there's a drop off. Um, and then as soon as I started getting lean again, now there's been a little boost again. Now the good thing with that is when there's the drop off, you don't deal with really any haters at all.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I've gotten like one or two comments this year, on social media, but that's it. It's been, generally speaking, a lot smoother right now, which I'm hoping for. Honestly, though, I learned, especially last year during off season, that social media it's sort of a necessary evil. I feel like in bodybuilding, because you really want to get your face out there, your name out there, everything.
Yeah.
But if you invest too much into that, whether that be feelings, time, whatever, it's going to bite you, in my
Mhm.
opinion. Obviously, not everybody experiences this, and I don't shame anyone that makes their living on social media or anything like that. For me, that's not. I share what I want to share and when I want to share it in the way that I want to share it, and I don't care if I may get more likes on something than another post, but I'm not going to continue to only post the latter. It's just, I'm going to post what I want when I want. That is what it is. I'm very thankful. I do, I have a day job, um, which is another reason that I'm able to not sort of focus as much on social media. Social media can be great. I've met so many wonderful people, and I don't have any intention of, not being on social media or not posting or anything like that. I do like to be very available. I always say that I always try to be the person that I needed at times in my past. There are times when you have no one to talk to.
Hmm.
There are times, like people go through different things, different seasons of life, and if they somehow tangentially know me, I hope people know that they could reach out to me. Whether I know you or not, I don't ever want anyone to feel like they have nowhere to turn to.
Hmm.
So that's sort of how I look at social media versus, you know, a a way to whether generate income or just popular, like whatever. If I put too much into that, I know that it's going to wear on my self-esteem, honestly.
Hmm.
Um, Kind of disrupt my peace a little bit, solely because the more visible you are, the more hate you get.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. I
Yeah,
wonder.
but I'm
Oh,
sorry,
you
go
go,
ahead.
no, you go
Oh,
ahead.
I was just gonna say, but that being said, I don't look down on anyone for it at all. And I'm very active on, so I'm not gonna I'm active on social media. I'm on there. So no disrespect to anybody or anything of that nature. That's all.
Sure, I totally understand that, and that's good to hear your perspective on that. Just being relatively young too, I don't know if you feel more pressure because I have a daughter who's 18, and yeah, I can't see her deleting Instagram just because she's got so much of her life kind of wrapped up in it. But just being relatively young, do you feel like more pressure to constantly post or constantly be on social media?
Yeah, I think that that probably exists for anyone, especially from a competitor standpoint. Sometimes it kind of feels like you have to, if you want to make this more um, a more larger part of your life, a bigger part of your life in terms of like sponsorship opportunities and money and it's taboo to talk about, but money.
No,
uh,
yeah. Hmm.
if you do want to do that, yes, you have to be much more active on social media in terms of, yeah, I if you hear someone my age say that they don't have social media, everybody is just like
Hmm.
what? So there's definitely some societal pressure there as well.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
at the end of the day, I hope that people just post what they want to post and in the way that they want to. But I think that there's definitely some pressure, especially in the female bodybuilding community, to post certain types of things or put up certain types of content or whatever what have you. And um, that's not something that I will ever do, but the pressure is definitely still there.
sure.
So, and I
Mhm.
don't know, you know, it doesn't really affect me or bother me what everyone else is doing. So I don't necessarily know that there needs to be like a change of that nature. But yeah, I just do my own thing.
Uh-huh.
Just post when I want to, and that is what it is. So
Sure. No, I totally appreciate that, your perspective on that. Yeah, it's kind of a wise way of looking at it too, I think. So,
well, I will say I would like to blow up my own spot and say that I have not always been, I have put way too much stock into what other people think and social media in the past. So I also don't want anyone to think I'm above them. No, no, no. I've been there, done that. But
yeah, I understand that. Yeah. Um, so my only other question, was just is if there's anything I missed that you'd like to address to the fans?
I honestly don't think so. I just want to thank you for the opportunity. You're very supportive, both of myself and just the female bodybuilding community in general. So genuinely, thank you so much. Um,
Thank
thank
you.
you. And yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I'm excited for my pro debut. And yeah, thank you.
That's exciting. Yeah, very excited for you, and we'll definitely post when you compete again. So and we'll include your coaches and your Instagram down below in the comment section too if people want to follow you. So, but thanks
thank,
again, Nicole. It's really good seeing you again.
thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Take care.